Genesis chapter 21. Genesis chapter 21. I'm going to read from the first verse, then I'll drop down the 21st chapter, verse 1. I'm reading from the New King James Version of the Bible. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said. And the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called his name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore for him, Isaac. And then I want to drop down to the 14th verse. And so Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and put it on the shoulders, put it on her shoulder. He gave it to the boy, to Hagar, and sent her away. Then she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Bathsheba, and the water in the skin was used up. So, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at a distance of about a bow shot. And she said to herself, "Let me not see the death of the boy." So she sat opposite of him and lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and saying to her, "What ails you, Hagar? Fear not, God heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arrive up to the lad and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water, and gave the lad a drink. And I want to talk about the struggles of a mother.
All right.
The struggles of a mother.
All right.
Mothers has to endure a lot of trouble, a lot of stress. You've heard me say many times how my mother would work in the field, go back home about an hour and 45 minutes before dinner time, and cook dinner, and then get everything cleaned up, get back out in the field around 2:30 in the evening, and then work for a while, and then go back and get supper ready. We call it breakfast, dinner, and supper. Then, that's why the Bible calls it supper now, because it's evening time. But that's a long story, another whole message. But mothers had to endure a lot. The children, that back in those days when I was coming up, it's not like children during the time of my children and the time of my time when I was coming up as a child. In fact, mothers didn't tolerate a lot of stuff when I was coming up. They would knock your block off. And, amen. And I tell you, sometimes it educated us from our rear into our head. Had to go through your rear in order to educate your head. And that's a tough way to have to train a child, a child that's stubborn, that they don't want to just live and have a life and live and make their parents a stress-free life. But in this new generation that we have today, it seems like children thrive on making miseries for their parents. Amen. And, seeing what they can get away with. And then comparing themselves with other children, what they have and what they don't have. We live in a time now when everything is look-alike. If I don't look like the other children, I don't get something new for school every year. They're gonna call me a rundown. Yeah, and y'all know what that means. Back in the South, you didn't have what you call it rundown. You know, don't have. I went to school many times with some holes in my clothes. Amen. It didn't take any skin off me. It didn't keep me from learning any worse because I knew what I had and what I didn't have. I knew what mom and dad could afford and what they couldn't afford. But I always remember the fact that my mom told me, she said, boy, always clean your clothes. And be sure you clean your underwear. Because you never know when something might happen, you might have to go to the doctor. She said, it's all right to have some holes in them, but make sure they're clean. Amen. And so I learned the hard way and I learned the good way. I also learned not to sass at my mom and my dad. You know, sass at me, talk back to them. For the benefit of the younger folks don't know. And I remember I used to have a habit of my mom would tell me something and I would kind of mumble on my breath, you know. And she said, "What you say, boy?" I said, "Nothing, Mom." She said, "You lying? You said something. You better not say it again." So, and I kept my mouth closed. And one day I mumbled something and she was right by and I knew the thing. The back of her hand went upside of my head. Down on the floor I went. And that wasn't child abuse. Now they call it child abuse. But in that day they called it corrective behavior. Can I get a witness? And I learned that a few of those would straighten me out real quick. Amen. And I didn't get many whippings, you know. I got a couple, maybe 3, but I tried to make sure that I walked and toed the line. You know, and the worst whipping I ever gotten was fighting with my sister. And Dad thought that was just a no-no. And in fact, she whipped me pretty good. But when he got in the door, I was working on her. And he wasn't there when she was working on me. He just happened to see me working on her. And he said to my mother, "Ned, you see that boy? You see how he hit that girl?" Mom wasn't paying attention. Mom was at the solve her own problem. But when Dad got there, I got to whip in my life. And I told my sister, I says, "Don't think you're going to get away now." You know what I mean, don't you? So don't think you're going to get away. But I learned not to stress my parents out. I learned not to stress, especially my mother. Because my mother had to deal with us more than my father. And why was that? Because the father was out working and the mother was taking care of the house. Are y'all with me? And so in the wintertime, my father would be out working and getting food for the table in the wintertime. We all be at the house, and we come home from school early, and so my mom had to deal with us as children. And I tell you, she didn't play. And I didn't stress her much either. Because I know that woman would get all over you. She would get your head, your hand, your feet, your back, your legs, anything that she could hit, she would work on it. But she taught me. I learned to love my mother and my father greatly. And even when I was at home, brothers and sisters, I would, as a teenager, I would work during the summer. And I would get all my money to my mother, except for $20. And $20 would last me all week long. I could get a hamburger for $1.50, milkshake for 30 cents. Amen. And we had brothers and sisters at home. And my dad didn't make a whole lot of money. So I learned from him and her to how to appreciate the family. Amen. And so I believe that a lot of parents, lived like that in those days. But in this day and time that we are living in, you find far and few between who value their mother and their father, and who would provide for them and make sure that they live a stress-free life. Can I get a witness? And so I just want to encourage children that are here, appreciate your mother. Appreciate your father. Is that right? Mother will give her last in order that the children may have. Many days my mother never bought a new dress, but she made sure that we had what we needed. Are y'all gonna stay with me? And so I want to also say to those that had mothers today, you won't think about it now, but when your mother is gone, you can't look back over and say what I should have done, what I could have done. What you need to do is do what you can do today. Can I get a witness? I was glad when my mother left Pasco and came up here to live in Seattle near us. I can talk to her every day down there, but I can go by and see her here whenever I felt like it, and whenever she was able to receive company. And it was a blessing, brothers and sisters, to be able to be the spiritual leader for your mother. Can I get a witness? Many men and many pastors and doesn't have that privilege to be able to counsel with their mother who raised you from a baby, to give some spiritual counseling too. And I thank God that God allowed me to be able to achieve that goal and be able to serve the Lord with her in the same congregation. Are y'all gonna stay with me? Now, what about the mothers that are in our church? We have different types of mothers in our church. We have mothers who gave birth to their children. And we have mothers who are mothers of the church who are supposed to be spiritual leaders to young women in the church. Can I get a witness? But in our time that we are living in, there's a very few senior mothers can give counsel to young mothers in the church today because of the attitude of young mothers in their children. They'll tell you in a minute, I know how to raise my child. And don't come telling me how to raise my child. When I was coming up, my children were coming up in New Hope Baptist Church, I told those mothers, if you see them getting out of line, correct them. If they get acting up too bad, bring them to us. Amen. But you can't do that today. Little children will tell you, you better get away from me. Woman, if you don't want to get hurt. Can I get a witness? That's why our schools are having so much problem today. Because young folks don't want to take advice and follow leadership and authority. Can I get a witness? And so, in our lesson today, I thought I'd share that with you. In our lesson today, we have two mothers who are struggling with life as a family. Also, one has a husband and one do not have a husband. One named Sarah and the other is named Hagar. Abram, who is now Abraham. It's a long story to talk about this family. But Abram was not the most popular guy among women. Although he was considered as the father of faith. Yet he had some challenges in life. He did quite a bit of lying along his way to becoming the father of a new nation. Every time Abraham would lie, God had to make another covenant with him because God didn't give up on him. He knew that Abram was going through some challenges in life. And to leave from around your family and your mother and your father and go into a land that I told you to go into and just promise you that what was going to happen. It takes a strong person to pack up from around family whom they have known all their lives. Go into a land where you don't know anybody and depending on God to make a way for you. Even though you had a few animals and had a few servants, yet you going into strange land. And you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Yet Abram, when he left the land of Oz, he made his way towards the land of Canaan. And then the Bible said after he had got through with some battles on his way, he made his way down into the land of the king of Abimelech and the land of Kar, who was the king of that area. And when he got down there, he was scared and told the king that his wife was his sister. And then his wife was a good-looking woman. Sarah was a good-looking woman. And the king got her and brought her to his house to be his wife, who was Abraham's wife. Now, that's a mess, isn't it? And so Abraham done lied his way out of his wife. all because of the fear that the king was going to do to him while they were there. And just so happened, and thank God, that the Lord touched the king in a dream one night and told him that you are a dead man because you have taken another man's wife and made her for your own. And so, and while this was going on, all the maidservants, all the women in that land were barren and could not have children. Are y'all with me? And so now Abraham, he prayed to God that God would release the curse on this nation. And as Abraham prayed to God to relieve the curse, God relieved the curse from that nation, and they began to have children. And the king told Abram, you get your wife. Not only take your wife, but I'm going to give you 1,000 pieces of silver for y'all to get out of here.
All right.
It's called the law of trouble in their land.
All right.
And so Abram went on, left the land, and then he finally, brothers and sisters, came into the land of Canaan. And now, Sarah is being conceived. And Abraham had prayed to God for God to send him a son. And that he had told him he's going to be the father of a new nation.
Yeah.
And Abraham could not understand that God is going to let him be the father of a new nation. And not only a new nation, but nation. And so and then he said to himself, how is this going to happen?
Yeah.
And Abraham get past 75 years of age. Abraham began to wonder, when is this thing going to happen?
Right.
Y'all with me?
Yeah.
He said, now he done made this promise, I'm still waiting. Have you ever been that way, that waiting on something, and it don't seem like it's going to ever come, and you keep looking for the mail, and it don't come, and then finally, after so many days past due, it comes.
Right.
And put a smile on your face, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even if it's nothing but paying off that bill. And so Abraham decided, well, now I'm getting up in age. And when he reached 89, I'm sure that Abraham was saying, well, now this thing's not going to happen.
Right.
And listen to this. Miss Sarah, who was barren, who was now 95, said, well, I'm past childbearing age to become a mother, and so we might want to forget about it and give it up. And so now Hagar is a younger woman. Maybe I can just take her into my husband and let her become his wife for a while, and then I can get a son through her, and he can become our inheritor. Are y'all listening? Are you paying attention? And so now Hagar has no choice.
All right.
Because she is a maiden. And whatever Sarah and Abraham decided, Hagar had to go along with it. Are y'all with me? And so now you got two mothers here tied up in a knot and twisted. And so finally, the Lord tells Abraham, now that you are 99 years of age, in 1 year, you're going to have a son. And your wife, Zechariah, is 90 years old, and 90 years old, and she's going to have a son. And so now, when Abram gets 100 years old, and Sarah and Zechariah is now 90 years old, Zechariah bears a son. God reversed what nature had completed. See, childbearing was over for them. All of her time had ran out. But God reversed the time in her, like he did the clock for Hezekiah, and moved it back 10 degrees instead of forward 10 degrees. Are y'all with me? Whatever is going on in your life, God can change it. He can change it. And so now, Sarah didn't realize what she was doing. If this mother had realized what she was doing, she never would have did that. One, she should have had faith in God.
Right now, right now.
Abraham was reluctant to do it. Are you with me? But he went on and did it. And so now, brother and sister, Sarah didn't realize that Ishmael was going to get 3/4 of Abraham's property. And her son was going to get 25% of it. Are y'all with me? So she didn't realize what she was doing. She was cutting her son out of the biggest inheritance. And she said, I can't have this. Are y'all with me? But God stepped in and straightened out this mess they got themselves in. Hagar was caught up in the mess. Zechariah stirred up the mess. Are y'all with me? And so now, Hagar decided, well, I'm going to leave this mess. This mother decided she's going to leave. So she took her son and she took off. That's the first time. But the Lord caught up with her and told her to go back to your mistress and stay there. I don't, because listen to this, Sarah would be ridiculed because when they go to mass, whatever, when they go to worship, because she had no children. And Hagar's child now reached around 13 years of age, and she had no children. So Sarah was upset because people laughed at her. And then when she got the child, now they're going to laugh with me. She was a happy woman. But what happened was, she couldn't stand Hagar any longer. So she went to her husband and told her husband now, there can't no two queens rule no one throne here.
Right. Say that now.
She's got a child and she's got to go. And that child is part of us, and I don't want him around. so he was reluctant to do it. But the Lord told him, go ahead and do as your wife has suggested for you to do, because I'm going to take care of Hagar and her son. All right. So if you put it in your hand, no matter how people treat you, how people misuse you, no matter how that dirty husband does, you put it in the hand of God. God will take care of you if you put it in His hand and stay with Him. Now let me close. I got about 2 minutes. So now, the Lord told Abram, now, y'all, let me use my sanctified imagination. Your name has a dirty sound behind it. Sarai and Abram got dirty names behind them. Y'all did some terrible things.
Right.
And you need to change that name. like Saul. Saul had a bad reputation behind his name. From Saul to Paul. So now God is saying to Abram, no longer shall you be called Abraham. You shall be called Abram. And your wife shall no longer be called Sarai, but Sarah. Are y'all with me? That name now has no background behind it. Now I didn't say the people, I said the name. So whatever you do, if you've been a saint, if you've been a sinner, you ought to change your name from sinner to what? Saint. To saint. Whatever you've done in life, you ought to change it. And so this woman, Hagar, did as Abram said when he got a goat skin of water, got some bread and put it on their back and told them to leave. They went into the desert.